Welcome to the Tech on Toast podcast. We are the home of hospitality tech. Whether you're an operator wanting to untangle your tech or a technology provider wanting to join our community, we are the largest hospitality tech growth platform on the planet. The Tech on Toast podcast is brought to you today by Lightspeed. Lightspeed is the EPOS and payments platform that will help you scale your business at the speed of light. Trusted by over 170,000 businesses worldwide, including Big Mama, Mildred's, Mallow, and Cubit House. Lightspeed seamlessly connects to an ecosystem of integrated solutions such as OpenTable, Xero, Muse, and many more. Are you ready to take your hospitality business to the next level? With the Lightspeed unified platform, customers can shave seconds off each transaction and increase tips. Need a little support modernizing your tech stack? No problem. Want to scale your business? Get fast funding with Lightspeed Capital. No hidden fees or interest charges. Eligibility criteria and terms and fees apply. Get your demo today at www.lightspeedhq.co.uk/Tech on Toast. Now sit back and enjoy the show. Welcome to the next episode of the Tech on Toast podcast, and we're delighted to be rejoined. I think I saw you in February, Conor, but Conor Sheridan, founder and CEO at Nory. Conor, how are you?
I'm great, Chris. Thanks for having me back. Yeah, it's February at your awesome event in Waterloo in Brewdog.
Yeah, that's right. It was that day, wasn't it? Yeah, we met that day. So yeah, it was a bit chaotic that day. I'm probably a little bit distracted, but really great event. And you're over in Spain today, Barcelona. You're embedding some new team, are you?
Yeah. So we have a distributed team at Nory, mostly between Dublin and Ireland, our product team, London, and then Barcelona, where we have a bunch of folk here in the office. And some new team members started, so decided to get a bit of FaceTime. And it's a good excuse to get some sun at the same time. Right? So.
I was going to say, you're looking well. And I think before we get into your big news, actually, just give everyone a bit of a recap up on what Nory does and how it can help the industry.
Yeah, for sure. So we like to call ourselves an operating system, which I don't know if that means a lot to people listening to this, but I'll try to explain it. Ultimately, it's like we want to be the mission control platform that you would use to run your restaurant business. So if you think about all the key workflows or data involved in running a restaurant, so you have your P&L, so like sales, your inventory, your COGS, supply chain, your people, how you manage them, everything is in Nory. And that's kind of like whether you're the CFO, a line cook, the newest server in the business, typically you'll engage with the brand and run the business on our platform. So we're trying to be the global operating system is what we're saying. So ultimately, can we help businesses systemize success? And what I mean by that is every restaurateur strives for consistency and a systematic approach when you're building your business. So guest experience, revenue, profitability, SOPs, we're trying to really try and bake that into technology to help people scale their business. So that's us.
Yeah. And that's it. Just it sounds tiny, but I mean, so much going on. I think your timing is perfect, and we'll talk about your news now. But the state, not the state of the industry, but the industry still, I think more than ever is looking at, obviously always look at our bottom line, always worry about what we're doing in terms of costs. But it's great to see tech coming in that's actually influencing that or being able to impact the profitability. I think the word you use there, which is I think is a key metric for anybody looking to survive in a restaurant or grow it, right? So on that, you've had a bit of news last week? We broke this news, or this week maybe even. Was it? Yeah.
This week.
This week.
It was Wednesday this week.
Before I ruin it.
Yeah, for sure. So we raised a Series A round, which is an investment round, with an awesome investor called Excel, who are based in Palo Alto and San Francisco and in London, around 16 million. And the idea, or I suppose why we're excited about it is, and hopefully they're excited about it, is it can help us build more deeper products that can help impact operators more in terms of help them, as you said, drive profitability and just run more successful businesses, but also enable us to bring Nory further around the globe, right? Because our mission is not European or UK centric, it's global. So we're excited about it, excited to have the partner come on board. Everyone else who's been supporting us up to today has also continued to invest. So I think we're lucky with the partners that we have. So yeah, good week.
I think, as Gary Player said, the famous golfer, I think the harder you work, the luckier you get. I think you make your own luck, mate. So I think it's a good for you. And I think in a time raising investment is very tricky for everybody in the tech sector. I think that's a huge pat on the back for you and your team there. So congratulations. And I think off the back of that, we were talking last time at the February event, we were talking about Nory Capital. It was just, I think you were just bringing it forward. Just shows how quick tech moves, right? We're only February and we're in June now. And tell us a little bit about that, because that was intriguing when you started talking about that in the last podcast.
Yeah, for sure. So it's probably to break down Nory for people who are listening to this, there's three parts of our product or our business. One is like SaaS, which is like software as a service, which is products or tools to manage different areas of the business. One could be, say, like business intelligence. It could be managing your workforce, payroll, scheduling side. It can be your inventory management and your recipe. So these are kind of these products. We have like another layer in the business we call automation of work, which I think I mentioned in February, is more around how do you take more traditional kind of people heavy jobs to be done, such as processing payroll, creating accounts, managing accounts payable, P&Ls, these kind of things, and automate that into a product. And then the last piece is financing. So if we're successful in the first two products, hopefully the restaurants will be much more profitable, have higher EBITDA, and be in a great place, and their operations will be systemized, that they're then looking to go, how do we put the foot in the accelerator and really scale this business and really grow it? And that's where Nory Capital comes in. We wanted to be able to offer financing for our partners to be able to grow quickly, because as you know, when you find a great site or a great opportunity, you want to push go on it, and you're going to have to deal with a traditional bank. It can take months and months and months of kind of going over and back on how you're going to use the financing, when you're going to get it, can you unlock it? And people just need to move faster than that, right? So we launched Nory Capital, whereby we're able to lend up to £2 million for partners that we work with to grow their business. Typically, it's used for new venue growth, but you can go anywhere from £10,000 to £2 million. So it can be used for working capital, refits, capex, kitchen equipment, and things like that. And it's quite data centric, so you can analyze like obviously the data we have in Nory down to profitability to make pre-selections on who's a good fit, and offer terms within 24 hours. So it's a big speed difference relative to a bank, right? I think if you don't have to go through all that paperwork and non-fun conversations. It's just down to the data
as well, right? Isn't it? It's the relationship you already have with those clients or the people that work with you, that actually that trust is there from the product, and then and obviously you hold data, which is really key to any kind of financial decision, which must help that helps that speed and flexibility.
100%, yeah. The fact that we have the data, it doesn't mean we have to have I don't want to say useless conversations, but going around in a circle, right? You can see like how the business is performing. You can see over months or years the trajectory of the business, how they've run it. You don't need to look at static P&Ls and sit there with an operator and question every line or decision, right? If they invested in training for a couple of months, or if they didn't, or if something happened or whatever, right? The data is there, and we can sit down and have a real operator to operator conversation and say, hey, look, let's move forward on this.
And I think that's unique about you guys actually at Nory, or particularly you actually, that you have that operator experience in your back pocket as well, which I suppose has helped you build the product over time, that influenced you. Is that something that you kind of keep as close as you can to make sure that you're obviously being relevant still to the industry?
Yeah, 100%. So I still have my own restaurant business, Paddock, and we're operating and we're fighting the fight like everyone else in the face of a challenging trading environment, and trying to keep growing that business. So seeing the challenges that everyone is facing, I feel like I deeply understand them, because you face them every day, right? So I think that means you're able to have a proper conversation with somebody around the challenges they're facing, versus a technology partner coming in who has a technologist's lens on the business, versus no, this is a restaurant operator's view. So I think it's been useful. It's been useful in terms of, I think any business that wants to be successful has to have a customer obsession, or be hyper customer focused, and really understand the customers they build for, the partners they build for, and be empathetic. It's easy to say that, and people put it as like a value in a business, as like we're customer obsessed or customer first, but it's a different thing to live it and actually be facing the actual problems of your customers.
It really is. And last time I saw you, I never asked you about AI. I think we brushed across it. But you're because we're looking at the way you measure demand actually in Nory, and the way you can look at efficiencies across demand. And I think you get within a 95% accuracy. Is that right, that you were quoting?
Yeah, Yeah.
How does that? How do you see AI playing a more of a role? I suppose because I got asked this. We were at an event in on Tuesday in Manchester with a bunch of Northwest operators, and one of the big questions from the audience was that how will AI further impact what we're doing or help us? I suppose, and how does that translate back into Nory?
Yeah, good question. I had this conversation during the week. It's become a bit of a buzzword, right? Everybody's saying it. It's now like, hey, what can AI do for me? And I used the example of 3 years ago when we set up Nory. We actually called ourselves Nory AI in every single sentence. We went out for because it's what most of our data analysis is based on. It's how we thought we could make sense of a complex operational environment. But most operators were really kind of allergic to that phrase. They're saying, look, we don't want this in the business. We won't understand the nuances of how to run a venue. It's too cold, too mechanical. We've seen a 180 on that now. Every conversation we have with an operator, particularly at the mid to enterprise level, is like, how can we embed this in our business to become more efficient, more productive, more profitable? But first thing we say is you can't just throw AI, if you want to just use that as like a catch-all at a business and make it easier to run, right? It has to have specific use cases and problems. Like, there has to be a reason to use it. And we look at it as a feature in Nory to solve certain problems. It's not something that you just throw at a restaurant and it's going to make a restaurant better. I know that was a long kind of winding preface into your question, but I think like it's important that people understand that when they're looking
I
at
totally agree. It was a bit like omnichannel when it first came around. You know, omnichannel was on every website, going there everywhere, and I think often diluting and kind of explaining or educating around a lot of these subjects to it's, and I'm not saying that operators are stupid, I'm just saying it's just different, the technology language or the language we may use in the tech industry compared to what operators use, and the speed that they move often sometimes doesn't translate. So I think it's important to make sure that when you guys are selling in or talking to these guys or fixing their problems, that the AI, as you say, is placed in the correct use cases, not just something you band about.
Yeah, 100%. I think today we have I would say narrow, but like impactful use cases that we look at. So you called out like demand prediction. I think like obviously when you look at a frontline venue, like our location to location or a store level, you're as good as your forecasts in terms of how the rest of your P&L is going to look like, right? So I think that's key. And then down to your GP, how can you help people with like prep ordering and decisions on pricing and things like that to make sure that that GP stays healthy? And then from a labor point of view, how do you optimize deployment and get good productivity and things like that? So they're like narrow use cases, but we definitely have a part of our funding is to go bigger on how we believe we can apply it into the space. And I think some definitely exciting use cases around Gen AI in terms of actually being a co-pilot and really coaching people on how to better run their businesses by analyzing their data sets. And I think the technology is finally getting there, that it actually can be useful versus you needing a software engineering degree to manage it, right? I think initially when it came out, people are talking about prompt engineers and these things, but it's now evolved so quickly that you can it's like texting or talking to somebody, right? Anyone should be able to get the value out of it at this stage.
I love that. And I think part of the issue in the industry is that with the pandemic, we lost a lot of the mentors, right? So a lot of people who are in the industry have been around a long time, kind of packed up and left in that period. So you've got this new age of guys in the industry who are coming up quite quickly, and maybe there's a layer missed out. And sometimes having that person on your shoulder saying, oh, this is where I used to do it this way. I think AI can generally replace that, or can generally not replace it, but support that lack of I suppose, business knowledge potential, or those mistakes that people are walking into, particularly with the two things you deal with, labor cost and food cost, the two biggest suckers of our profit in the industry. And I think if someone can really get a handle, and I mean really get a handle, not just on measuring it and telling you what here's what's left, but actually helping you along the way, make great decisions, or just start to nip away at those little bits of cost that we're losing. I think that's a game changer, because you can chase revenue all day long, but if you're not controlling the bottom, it's just going to pour out like a leaky bucket, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And you hit the nail on the head there. I think the big unlock is don't just show somebody data, draw the line to the answer and what to do. And I think that it's easy, but a lot of companies optimize for showing as much information as possible versus like what's really important and what do I do with this data and how to make my business better. I think that's the really challenging part. I think that's the line that we're after, right, across
they need help, and it's not, again, it's not like a cry because there's a lack of skill or anything like that. It's a lack of knowledge, it's a lack of experience which just got taken out the industry, like a lot of industry did over that period. But I think that that's where I love tech, because it can enable certain scenarios to actually put that back in and really help this conversation. So that's fantastic. And it must be super exciting, I suppose, getting the investment because you can now look at that from a global scale. And do you think you're going to come across the same issues in different regions? Do you think you're going to, restaurants, when it comes down to it, it's all about the food and the customer, right?
Yeah. As one of the key unlocks for us, I think, right? I think there's obviously nuances in like tax rates or nuances in and which can impact
Labor,
profitability.
payroll, forget. Good luck with that.
So there's nuances there, but ultimately hospitality is the same all over the world that we've seen. People want to deliver amazing guest experiences, want to build, which are the outcome of operational consistency, right? Like, how do you consistently show up and deliver that every day? And equally, in order to scale a successful restaurant or bar or cafe or bakery, whatever, in the US or the Middle East or in the UK or in Southern Europe, you need to be able to control your operations, be consistent every day to get that, as I said, consistent guest experience, consistent operational experience, consistent profitability. If you don't do that, you can't grow the business. And that's the same in any country, right? I think the challenges to do that are the same in terms of the complexity of actually running a successful restaurant in each country. So we've actually seen that. So we're live now in obviously the UK, in Europe, in the Middle East, and the US. So we're live in each of these regions, and the problems that people are speaking to us about are the same, mostly, right? Which is like a good enabler for us as a business, but it's also like this is just needs to be not solved, but just it should be better, right? They deserve better, at this point, right?
I spent most of my career in this industry, and I think the breadth of the problem, it hasn't changed since I was in it, right? And I think that it changes, it morphs into different things. But I think when you mention consistency, an old boss of mine said, consistency leads to predictability, right? The more consistent you are, the more predictable you are to your customer, which obviously that just translates back to revenue, because they're now expecting great service, expecting you to be open at 9:30, not closed because a certain manager closed early or whatever. And that kind of behavior only leads to top line growth. And then if you can plug the gaps, as I talked about before at the bottom, it then becomes a really potentially profitable business that we used to see back in the 90s and the early 2000s, where casual dining was booming, everyone was making money, and EBITDA was, a given at 20-25%. And now that's not the case, right? EBITDA is plummeting, or was plummeting, so it's difficult. So I think you've got it's really interesting and exciting. What kind of roles, I suppose, are you building a structure in each country or region? Are you bringing a leader in each region?
For now, we've centralized the team, but we have like support in the regions, obviously, to help operators on the ground. Over time, we will build out teams that are completely localized, but for now, it makes most sense to centralize operations.
Just
so everyone's close together. It's not quite that, thankfully. We have a great team, but we're growing quite quickly, and we're figuring things out, and we're building net new things that don't exist in the industry yet. So having too many people distributed across too many time zones is challenging. I think that you can do that a bit more when you're just on the scale side versus trying to build things that don't exist, right? People need to be around each other and learn from each other.
Yeah, 100%. I think that scaling issue, when you get into different regions, different countries around the world, that you become separated, or Slack is your only way of like being part of together. And it's just not, until you're ready product wise, I suppose, until you're ready on your journey, it's a dangerous thing to do, I suppose. And I mean, in terms of clients, you've got some fantastic people on the books. I was looking at Buns from Home, who are a bit of a darling of the industry right now. Jamie Oliver's, who have we got here? Roasting Plant Coffee. So how do you have you got any metrics, I suppose, or any measurements from how they've done since they've come on board? Anything exciting you can share with us?
Yeah, for sure. I think we launched our, so we have a success stories, or our partner success stories on our website. And internally, like, our mission is to be the most impactful restaurant technology company in the world. And what that means for us is financial impact first and foremost. That is like our niche, in terms of we want to deliver profit increases for people, because we believe that once they can get control of their business and their profit, everything else gets easier in terms of how you engage your people, retain your people, customer experience. But that really needs to be controlled. So if you look at our success stories, they're all quite metric driven around impact to profitability. So you mentioned, I think, Roasting Plant at the end there was one of our newer success stories, where we helped them reduce their labor costs by 18% in the first two months of working with Nory, which is like pretty significant. I'm not going to out what their EBITDA is, but like it's pretty significant percentage of that. And we continuously have numbers at that level from like 18 to 25% for businesses that are well established, that are mid-market to enterprise, that really get value from coming to have that systematic approach of running their business with Nory. So we have, for us, like when a partner comes to us, we ask them, why are you working with Nory? Why do you want to work with us? And it could be anything from, we want to increase our productivity, reduce kind of labor costs. We want to increase our gross margin, reduce waste. We want to have our EBITDA a bit higher. We want to have a franchise operating system that has consistency that we can scale. So we take their business goals that then become our goals, which I think is like beyond product is like a good differentiator for us. Our success team really then works with them to go, you came to us to say you wanted to have X percentage better revenue or profitability or a lower LTO. How are we tracking consistently? And every engagement we have with them is to make sure that they get to that outcome. So if you look at our success stories, they're really directed at numbers that we can stand behind. It's not you save 10 hours or people are way happier, which is hopefully happening too, right? But it's just more we can stand behind and go, your P&L looks a lot different after you join Nory, and you can really kind of measure the value that you've gotten from us.
I mean, that for growing a product must be absolutely smart. Obviously your key pillar, just being able to kind of stand behind that and say, look, I mean, I think it's great that a tech product has placed itself in this place, saying, I'm going to increase your bottom line, or I'm going to defend your bottom line for you, and put some more pluses into your business. I just think it's a great way to build because, as I said before, trust is everything, but more than anything, more profit is just an enabler for everyone. It just puts the grease on the wheels, right, and gets everyone's going. I suppose, I mean, it's been great, I suppose, catching up on what you guys are doing. What over the next, I mean, I'm sure it's chaos now. You're in Barcelona today, then you're back in the UK over the weekend. What does the next 6 months look like? I've shortened it from a year to 6 months for you, because last time I saw you've built 3 products since then. So what does the next 6 months look like?
Yeah, continuing as we are, I would say, right, the markets we're in today, we want to continue to get deeper and accelerate to get a better coverage through them. We want to make sure our products are getting better and getting deeper as well. I don't see us, the products that we have out for this year, we're going to keep going deeper just to continue to drive impact. We do have something up our sleeve, I think, around the AI front that we just mentioned loosely, that's been worked on by the team that we're really excited about. Maybe by the end of the year, start of next year, but it's going to be a big differentiator. So like, I think we're very excited about that. Don't want to go into too much detail yet, but maybe we can speak again if and when it comes to market. Yeah, cool. But yeah, I think it's continue as we do. Just try to keep driving impact, building good products, building relationships, and if we can do that, then I think we'll be happy.
I think it's super exciting, Conor. I'm made up for you because, as I said, it's not the easiest market to go raising money, and I think you've done a fantastic job, you guys. So, and if anyone's listening and they want to get hold of you and kind of actually just really start to work on their bottom line, I love the fact we're talking about them rather than the product. Actually, that they can really focus in on kind of saving some money and putting it back into their teams. How do they get hold of you? Is it just best heading over to Nory's website?
Yeah, Nory, Nory .ai. They can find us there. They can watch a product tour on the website. They can book in a chat to meet some of the team. You can come and message us on LinkedIn. You can ping me on LinkedIn, Conor Sheridan, if you want to just go straight in and have a chat. I'm happy to always pick up the phone. So they can find us in any of those places. Perfect.
Look, I mean, I really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your time in Spain. It's just one day left and then you're off back home?
Yeah.
It's a hard life, mate. Anyway, look, thanks for that. That was Conor from Nory, everybody. If you want to get hold of them, you can find them on our marketplace as well. Just go and tap in Nory and you'll find them, Nory. And and if you're struggling with any of your bottom line issues or even your top line, actually, just give them these guys a shout and they're really going to help you. So good luck with the new raise and good luck with building a new team. And we shall see you all soon.